Okay.
Hi there.
Ken,
You got Ken all dressed up over there.
Ken? Yeah, he's trying to sell something, I said.
Because they're passing a law against that.
Excuse me, how are you?
Just fine.
Yeah, I like your
It's pretty good. I'll get,
thing
I'll
about
look at it.
doing
and see
your
if I can-
grandmother chores. Same thing, sad, but grandfather chores.
UT with Bobby
Yeah.
Grant.
I've got a grand dog this weekend.
I have a granddog as well. And you know Rusty Cant will do more for the
No,
weekend.
he went
This
to
is a
Madison.
golden retriever puppy who she was on there.
Raced yellow course before.
They're so pretty, but boy, they do.
We went to
She
the
gave me
sun.
1960.
My granddaughter got
His
baptized.
Bobby, his Bobby said,
Started down out the Cleveland.
Well, he was on vacation.
Keep my
Oh,
dog.
and we was talking
That
about
was
This
just
week.
Reminiscent.
Yeah.
You need a chair?
for Tennessee.
Oh,
You might need one more before it's all said and done.
oh, no,
They
South
were
Carolina.
talking
Every
about
one of
the person before John
Lester.
Ward.
Oh, yeah.
That's the McLean.
Mr. McLean was
Hi,
the first
do you need a
black
seat?
football player. And he was only down there because they wanted another guy, but he quit.
Yeah, with Al Cole.
Alvin Davis.
Yeah, he played pro ball. I think he did.
Hey, how are you?
He ended up going to Tennessee State or somewhere.
His brother turned out to be better than him, David Davis. He played for the Packers. Albert played for the Eagles.
How much older was David than Rusty Cantwell?
How you doing?
How much, was he in the same class, Rusty Cantwell and David Gratz?
Rusty graduated
I
'65.
mean Bobby Grant.
Bobby Gratz, I meant.
Rusty got out about 63.
Okay.
Yeah, Rusty's last year was the fall of '62.
Well, that was
Yeah,
when
yeah.
Burley was
Stan
trying that
graduated
radio
high
that was
school.
driving him crazy, giving him calls from the sideline. It was the first time, and Rusty, I think, just took that thing off and threw it down.
Well, you probably hear it on the defensive side of football.
Kurt Watson was raised in Crossville and didn't have a penny to his name. And, ended up being a pilot for
Oh,
the
yeah.
Thunderbirds or some of that group. But when he went to UT,
Blue Angels.
Blue Angels, I knew him and he said, "What are you doing now while you're at UT?" And he said, "I'm working at Rogers Cadillac." I said, "What do you do over there?" And he said, "I work in landscaping."
Landscaping.
I said, "What's your job?" And he said, "I water the flowers." I said, "Well, when do you do that?" And he said, "I don't know." He said, "They've got an irrigation system that comes on." He never did go, but he drove a Corvette.
He gained a few yards down there.
Yeah, he did.
I read something today, it was the 49 top jobs that do not require a college education. You know what number the top one is? Nuclear power plant operator. Does not require a college education. On the job experience is what they want. And he made the top.
That's just because, that's the only reason they do that, they want to have somebody knows what's going on.
That's
That's exactly right.
Let's see, there's a few things on here on this agenda, and let me just run through them. We'll fill Jim B. Lark's spot. Ventress Norfolk has agreed to serve. Everybody okay with that? Ventress still on the planning commission. He'll be a good addition, and I've spoken with him about it. Glad to have him. Got a letter from the Utility Commission on the appointment to Brian Dickerson's term. He's agreed. They want to keep him on there, and that's who I'll recommend. The way we do it, I just nominate one of the three, and you all vote. So that's not today, that's 2 weeks from today. But,
Can we know who the three are?
It was in the paper.
David Gurley and Thompson,
Glenn
Glenn Thompson.
I didn't read the paper. I saw the headlines, but I didn't.
Brian would be an excellent commissioner.
Yeah, I think they're pleased with him and the work he's done, and so I'll go on that recommendation, and that's, those are the three we have to choose from. And if, I guess the way that works, if the council doesn't want any one of the three, then vote the recommendation down, so.
We've been through that before.
We've got practice. I don't care to go through that again, but, that's.
Brian's got a good background in engineering, which they need. That's what we're glad.
Our retreat starting time, we can extend that a little bit, the way we don't wanna extend it past noon Saturday, because everybody's eager. We're usually ready to hit the road, by that time. Any sentiment to start it sooner, we can do 10, we can do 11. We usually start at 12 and eat and sit around and get kind of rolling about 1 after we eat, but,
You talking about on
on the retreat in
On
August.
Friday.
On the Friday.
On the
I thought it
Friday.
was scheduled to start earlier than that.
Well,
Was scheduled at 9, I believe.
That's what time we have to be there to
Oh.
get set up.
Then 10, how about 10? Will that give you enough time?
Is 10 okay with you all?
Well, it'd be tight.
You ought to get there at 6.
If y'all wanna sit and watch us set things up, that's fine, but it's,
I can be up there to help you set up, but I get up there early, but,
If
that
it
school,
doesn't get delayed, does it make a difference?
well, Chris is not here, but, I think school's back in by then, and he drives a bus. I don't know if it's tougher for him. He usually rides with either you or
Yeah,
him.
I think he makes arrangements with the school system for that.
He has in the past.
Yeah,
10 o'clock,
I think that's a good time.
you all right? You all right? Kay, you all right there?
Yes, sir.
If this is gonna cause setup problems, Kay will be glad to be there.
the setup problem is more inside here, but if y'all can fix that, there's no problem.
If it's 10 a.m., you'll be required to fix some Bloody Marys.
Yeah, we'll work on that.
And-
Roughly, the format is Tony's gonna present his vision and planning, and we'll kind of discuss that as we go along, but the last couple of hours anyway, I've asked him to set aside at least that much time. He needs to hear from us, so come with some thoughts or visions or recommendations, or just no sleeping permitted. Okay? Bye-bye.
And wrap up is 12 on Saturday rather.
Yeah, we'll be at the end. He goes first and we'll go at the end. So, okay?
We'll make it work.
Get us something good to eat. Broccoli and carrots only go so far.
I've already placed the order.
Okay. Make sure those beans are broken too.
And the corn shuck.
Let me ask the sentiment of the group on this. We've got work session set for next Tuesday at 1, and we're gonna do the bond, decide on our debt issue, bond issues, and Morristown Utility coming with some recommendations that affect us. The utility district debt is our debt. And so they've found that they have to make some changes to financial. We've also got that bridge retirement deal on there too. Do we want to do both? Do we want to let after what we've been through with the insurance and the retirement, there's other things that go with it, like the existing retirement, we've got a wage study, there's gonna, do we want to do both, or do we want to wait till on into the fall when things cool down a little bit with all that we went through? I just tossing that out there. We want to delay the we've got several phases of retirement. We're looking at redoing retirement, how we do it now. Anyway, whether we do the bridge or not.
We haven't talked about that, though. Somebody's talking about that.
Talking about what?
Looking at changing the way we do retirement, that hasn't really been generated from this group.
Well, yeah, it's coming from here. We're looking at the packages we've got. That's what we're gonna do. And I think that's part
Let
of
me
what we're talking about.
interrupt you, shoot, if interrupted. On that meeting, does that not conflict with the planning commission meeting if it goes long?
If it goes long.
If it goes long, planning commission meets at 4.
All right, well, so you're cramming everything between 1 and 4, is that right, Tony?
That's right.
I don't believe it. It seems like a small amount of time to me.
I don't know, I'm fine with whatever the preference is, if it's something that, or if we just wanna hear it and listen to it, I don't know that anybody, we're not gonna be voting on anything. But the planning commission is,
It's canceled.
okay,
It is?
If we don't have any items. We're
That's
gonna
a
have a
good
work,
reason.
we tend to have a workshop that afternoon to talk about some direction on some things, but we don't have any items for the meeting.
Well, then that gives you plenty of time.
okay.
So you're still gonna serve lunch?
Of course.
Well,
There's still gonna be the planning commission work session, because Steve has some things he wants to go over with it. But as far as being up against a wall at 4 o'clock, we're not.
That's a very said.
We wanna hear it and absorb it and study it, and, you know, that may give us something to talk about at our retreat also, but it's
What
just.
do you think, Tom?
Okay. My thoughts are, number one, the MUS does not have debt.
That's right.
And we're basically taking something that we planned on for a while and saying what MUS wants to do is more important, so let's move them back. And it's not that it's not more important, it's that it makes those people that we're moving back feel that way. I would be more interested in doing it all at the same time. Because like you said, there's not gonna be a decision made, we just need to know what they're talking about.
Excuse me, Tony, did they go the 3% for all their debt? Did they go the fixed rate for everything?
No, they're not able to, and
How
that's
much,
part,
how much are they,
it's a big chunk, but they're still working the numbers.
what's, that's what affects you, isn't it? The fact that they've owned the
Yeah, it's gonna
floating.
be a big, big discussion about big numbers.
You know, Tommy, I don't understand, if July the 10th, we're going to talk about debt, and MUS is going to come and we're going to hear from, are we going to hear from Chris and also MUS, or just MUS?
Both.
Both, okay, and we're supposed to, according to your timeline, we're gonna have something on the agenda to vote on July 17th.
That's correct.
Has the bond fund been contacted at all?
Yes.
Not by us. I talked
Yes.
to Wade, no, I talked to Wade this
They were on the
afternoon.
conference call in this room on the middle of this table.
Who did you talk to?
Linda Mooneyham.
But that was not, yes, that was a conference call in which City was there, but City has not specifically talked to MUS about our debt. I talked to Wade Morrell this afternoon about, what we're planning to do. City was in on a conference call with MUS, yes, they were at the table. But other than that, I don't know how we talk about debt and what we have with TML if we haven't had, and if we don't have a TML person at the July 10th meeting, then they're not represented and they haven't been invited. So therefore, we're making a decision about a lot of debt with TML Plus. Is the strategy to refund money through another party and then hold that in escrow and pay off what we owe TML? What is the plan here?
It's not, as he just said, it's not their debt. They don't have a debt. We
Okay.
have the debt.
Well, we need more. We got too much traction going here with very little information.
That's
That's what the work session.
That's what the work session is for.
Well, but the work session is July 10, and it was supposed to be in March. And I know I talked to you about that, and you said you wanted to make sure the budget passed, and we had the 5-cent property tax in here so that we could fund this. But it feels like we're in crunch time up against the wall because we have all these bids that are coming out that have to be let, and we have to have money to fund them.
Right.
But we have not been fair with our funding body with TML and the council knowing what there is to offer from them, because we can't speak from them. Somebody may be secondhand able to say this is what TML can do, but I think you need the person at the table if you're talking about that, and they have been strategic partners for an awfully long time, as has Cumberland Securities.
Correct me if I'm wrong, I thought TML didn't offer a fixed rate.
They do. And you can refund that, yes, they do offer a fixed rate.
They have fixed for 5 years and then reset.
Yeah.
Well, that's a fixed rate, define it then. You want a long-term fixed rate? Well, then let's talk about all this before, and then have them at the table and ask them and let them tell us.
When Moody's and Standard & Poor's evaluates that debt, it's considered variable rate.
Okay, but there is no ratio that says you have to have so much fixed and so much
That's a
variable.
policy, a decision of the council.
Right, and what is our debt policy on that, Larry? Do we have a debt policy that says so much fixed, so much rate? We don't, do we?
I don't recall off the top
Why
of
would
my
we have a
head.
policy that requires us to have a variable rate?
That's why I said we don't have one.
I
just know-
Interruption, that's quick. Is the issue here that the utility has too much floating rates that it's affecting our borrowing? Is that the issue?
That,
interest rates are going up, the variable rates, numbers are going up. MUS set a trip point of when it got to 2%, they wanted to evaluate it, they've evaluated it, they want to refinance. That's what came up. We were on a path to go forward and issue debt for construction of public works and getting the projects going. They called and said, by the way, we want to do this, we gotta do it all together.
Let me just say this, I didn't intend to bring up the discussion on debt, I just wanted to know if we wanted to do both of them on the same day.
Well, I was gonna bring it up.
Okay.
I know.
I'm sure you were, but I'm just saying, do we want to,
Well, you can
we'll
do
take
it,
it all,
you know.
both of them at once, since we don't have a planning
Well,
commission.
I have no problem
think so.
taking both of them, and I thought we were
Okay.
surveyed earlier, but I don't think we have all the people at the table that need to be there.
Well, are you talking about the bridge or the debt?
I'm talking about debt.
Okay, well, I didn't mean to bring up a fixed versus variable TML pool versus Cumberland Securities. I just wanted to know, next Tuesday's when we got a double header, are we prepared to do the double header? You okay?
I think it's on the schedule, I'm not sure we're totally prepared.
Well, we don't have to do anything that day.
I mean, we're not voting on anything that day.
No, but they plan to move forward with the agenda to have something on it on July 17th. And therefore, do you have time between the 10th and the 17th to come back to another meeting to have somebody else at the table? I mean, isn't it fair that you have, if you're gonna decide to do this debt, and it takes 90 days if you're gonna take it somewhere else, they'll waive the fees, as we've always known, for that 90 days if you're going to refund it within TML. They waive those 90-day fees. I just feel like there's a lot going on that we don't have all the parts involved.
What parts aren't involved? Say what you're thinking now.
TML is not at the table.
All right.
TML has, yes, they were on a conference call, I knew that last week.
You're talking about the TML bond pool?
Bond fund, not the pool, the fund.
Okay.
I think what we need to have answered is what we did the last time, and that is, number one, where do we need to be on variable versus fixed rate? And number two, can Cumberland and TML be competitive with each other, which we realized the last time they weren't, but that may be the case now. If they come back and say a 5-year rate is even a fixed rate is a variable loan according to the right people, then that's the decision we have to make, that we've got to go with a fixed rate.
What is the, Joey, what's the interest done since we did the fixed rate on with Cumberland?
Treasury's bumped it up 50 basis points, and our variable rate debt last month was 151 basis points total, including the fee, 1.51%.
Can you talk that in English?
1.51% is what it's up to.
And they've announced 2 more planned for this calendar year.
Plan for this calendar year.
Which is why the financial people at MUS are making the move to protect them, protect themselves, protect us. Like you said, it's hard to.
We just need to hear from all parties. We don't have a financial advisor, so we've got people who are financially advising us on this debt and somebody else financial advisor on this debt. We need to look at all that.
Well, do we agree that we need our administrator and 2 assistant city administrators to be prepared and come with us with recommendations? Or we're gonna have a workshop to hear what they've learned? Or that's what I thought we were gonna do. Is that?
I think they should attend.
Ken, what do you think?
Well, I think the more information we got, the better off we are. That's my thing.
And that is like, you're not just talking to administrators, you're talking about both entities that we have money with, that we have money borrowed with.
Any information that has to do with the debt.
The game plan would have MUS to explain why they're doing what they've done. They've taken action on the resolution that will be forwarded to you. They have hired their own financial advisor, which is Raymond James.
That's not their financial advisor.
Yes, that is their financial advisor.
I thought he had a person name, not just the company.
Rick Delaney is the person working for
Right.
Raymond James. And then you have Chris Bessler from Cumberland Securities as your financial advisor on the remainder part of the debt that you got issued, the 2.8 million. Those are the people that we had intended to have at the workshop on the 10th to talk about your debt portfolio, the opportunities, the challenges, and lay out a game plan.
Well, you know, Chris is only, as you had mentioned when I asked you this a week or so ago, the advisor on the unfunded amount.
The 2.8 million.
But-
We are obligated to use him on that piece.
But he is not the financial advisor to look at all of our debt and give us advice.
Unless you want him to be. And if council can certainly elect to do that if you so desire.
Well, I think that I would like to hear from somebody with TML, as Tommy mentioned earlier, and I think Ken's alluding to that, all the information that you can have. Nobody can speak better to what they can do than the person who's handling that and it's their job on that company.
Well, I think where a lot of that's coming from is you all remember the times that things were tough in Morristown, and TML went out on the limb and did some things for us that they usually don't do for a lot of people. And I'm not saying because of that we need to use them as our funding agent. I'm just saying we just need to let them know what we're doing, and if they've got a better deal, let them propose it. And if they don't have a better deal, then they're out.
Well, you're on the TML approval board, right?
I am.
Which caused you to have to recuse yourself from the vote last time.
Absolutely.
So I think we know that that you want them to have a role. And I understand it, but if what they're saying is they can have a fixed rate for 5 years only, and then whatever the rate has gone to then, we refinance in 5 years to a higher rate. This is what we discussed before, 2 years ago, I guess it was. And if the thing is the same, I don't know if we're gonna use it, if you wanna delay the 17th in order to have them come tell us the same thing, I don't know that that's the smartest thing for our council to do.
I know.
But if you delay it, that affects
Construction.
construction.
Well,
I think all we need to do is call TML and say,
Just ask them, here's what you're up
Here's
against.
what
Do
we
you, offer anything other than?
You're okay with us doing that?
I think if they know what's going on,
Okay.
They haven't known what's going on with us. They knew what's going on with.
Shouldn't they be talking
US.
to Tony?
I would think so, but
yeah.
do you not think that's the right thing to do?
I think it should have been done. I think it's a step in the right direction, and your comment about my being on the board, I have felt this way. I stood toe-to-toe with John Johnson over this way before I was on the TML board. I've always felt that we needed to look at both sides and get the best deal, and I think that's what Tommy's saying. That's what I think we decided at the last time. But unless you are fair, you know, it's just like people who buy insurance from you, Gary, and they bought it for an awful long time, and then they change, but they don't come to you and talk to you, and you wonder, what did I do, or what did I not do, or what could I have done?
Well, you brought up a whole broad range of subjects that don't have anything to do with this, what we're looking at.
They do.
If Tommy suggested, I mean, it sounds good to me, but what the rest of you think? Tell them, here's what we got, can you beat this? I mean, I think that sounds fair to me.
I think what we simply say is, here's our idea, can you be competitive? And if you can be competitive, then we want to hear what you got to say. But if you can't be competitive, tell us that up front.
That's what I was saying, we just need all the information, and, you know, who's got the best deal, that's what I say.
Well, I mean, I think our administrator and two assistant administrators, they deal in finance all the time, and if TML convinces them they can compete, they're gonna tell us.
Then that call should have been made, and we shouldn't have had to ask for that call, but I think that is a real step in the right direction.
Part of the issues that MUS wants to refinance are across city and MUS, because part of it is general fund and part of it is sewer fund. So when they say they want to refund an issue, it impacts our debt that we're paying. It's not just that we're underwriting part of it, it's part of it is bond issues that we issue for multiple functions. the bond pool, bond fund can always bid on it, but they don't offer a fixed rate. They're not in the business of bidding on those competitive bonds.
Tony, I thought the issue we were really looking at, and I may be way off base, is what MUS is doing with their financing is affecting, what adversely affecting what you're trying to do with your finances. Is that correct?
Our bond rating was adversely affected by the amount of variable rate debt between us and MUS.
To the point where it would affect your, I'm guessing, your rate on the public works building?
The cost of bonds would certainly be impacted by the bond rating.
That's what we need to be settling, is it not?
But the idea is MUS is now in a position where they want to move before the market moves higher. And they want to move now.
And
We
you
need to move
you
to
can't
finance
blame
But they don't move on anything until we, okay?
That's right. Nothing happens till.
Is all they're wanting to change, Tony, is the part on the sewer, or are they wanting to change others
No.
besides?
Sewer and telecom, I think so. Those are the two pieces they've got. But it'll be a big amount.
So after we get through all of this, and we're ready to jump into the bridge.
I have
After we
one-
get through all
We may
this.
wanna jump off the bridge.
I have one more question. Is there we don't have a ratio in our debt policy fixed to variable, rightly so? Do we have a ceiling on how much debt? Because when I talk to Joey, how much they have depends on how much new debt we can incur. And what is that ceiling on debt?
There is a legal debt ceiling. We're nowhere near that.
No.
So then we did the 10 million instead of, and left off the 2.8 because we could get a better deal on 10.
Because it was bank qualified.
Right. So this time, how much new debt are we looking toward? 5?
More than that. I think it's roughly 9.
That includes the 2.8. That's in addition to the 2.8. So that keeps it under the 10, which makes it,
The bank qualified rules would go out if we're doing the refinancing at the same time, and the laws have changed. So that's part of what they would talk about in the town.
I think the main reason they want more money is for the sanitary sewer systems.
Mm-hmm.
Boy, I'm glad they've got that thing, aren't you?
Yes, on a regular basis, I'll remind them of that.
so, when do you plan to call TML and talk to them?
They're aware of it. We can call them again and say that there's a talk about refinancing.
They're aware from the MUS side, but they have not had a call from us, Tony. They have
Okay.
not called from the city per se.
We can call Thursday morning.
I think that's what Gary was talking about earlier. If it
What?
would be okay if Tony called him, staff called him.
Well, I thought they were on the conference call. They said there was a call, and city folks and MUS and TML was
And
on the
two
phone. What am I
financial
missing here? How did they get left
Evidently,
out?
there's miscommunication in here and just talking about MUS. Now, what are you gonna do on the city side? Are you gonna do something
Well, I
on
thought
the
it all
business
came
side
back to us anyway.
too? I think we've just figured that out, all of it, you know, that, and I don't ever remember our deciding before like this how much we could borrow, but it's also changed because of the sewer, hasn't it? The sewer going to MUS and we having combined debt. That's the new piece
Well,
in
that's
the
a part of
puzzle.
it, yeah.
Yeah, are they telling you that city people were not on the phone call?
No,
Is
no,
that what
no.
they're saying?
No.
That's
That-
what I'm hearing.
No,
So-
no, I said earlier,
Because
yes.
we discussed city debt during that phone call, so
I
I'm a
said
little
earlier when,
confused.
no, I said earlier, yes,
I'm a
they
little
were on
confused on what's
the
been.
MUS, but specifically talking about city debt separately from combined in the MUS.
That's what Clark Record discussed, but it wasn't.
Well, then,
Phone
you know,
call
there,
went
if
more
there's a
than
miss,
that,
if
though.
there's a link missing in the communication, correct it. That's all I'm asking.
I agree.
Anything else on the agenda? Those are my items to bring up. We've got 2 ordinances, food trucks and
I've got a
short-term rentals.
question. Is Steve's in here. On the food truck, is there any way, and correct me if there might be some kind of statute or something pertaining to this, the inspection by the fire department, the fire marshal, and the inspection by your department, could that not be done in one inspection by one body, like planning instead of bringing the fire department? I mean,
Well, the planning won't be inspecting the food truck. We'll approve the application and process it. Who will be inspecting it is the fire marshal and the health department.
Okay, so planning's not
Right.
in the inspection phase of it at all?
Right, now,
Okay,
and the
that
code
answers
office
my
might
question.
go by and look to make sure that it has the health, you know, notices and the proof that they've got a mobile food license, but other than that, they won't.
How much free time are you gonna have going around and when this goes into effect?
Well, fortunately, we don't have that many, so it shouldn't.
They're popping up all the time.
He's looking for free samples as he
No.
goes.
There's a
Don't
couple of them. I
know.
wouldn't want to
Regularly.
say.
If anybody's looking for free samples in this town, it's Steve. I see him all over town.
That's all he is, he's coming to town.
Maybe when the construction gets started down there, Merchants Green, there'll be food trucks down there.
Steve, do you want to talk about a tweak?
Yes, as we're talking about food trucks, I had a gentleman come into the office yesterday who actually is a retired police officer and code enforcement officer from Hillsborough County, Florida, and he wants to open a food truck. And he read the ordinance, he saw it on Facebook. He had, let me just hand this out. And we don't have to address it now, but we can think about it. Just pass those. Well, actually, I'll look at yours. In the definition of motor food service vehicle, the definition is, it means a food truck or ice cream truck that includes any other portable unit that is attached to the motorized vehicle that is used in the operation of the motor vehicle. He's concerned that he's got a trailer he brings and he detaches once he's there and sets it up. And he's concerned that with the way that language written is attached, that he may be in violation. I didn't really think it would be an issue, and it could be something like a smoker or something that you want to physically separate from the truck.
Well, I saw a trailer in Jefferson City, wood-fired pizza, and it was a van, like a cargo van, pulling a separate trailer.
Right.
And they set the trailer off to itself and pulled the truck sort of
Right.
out of the way.
And I suspect it's something like that. Like I said, our intent wasn't to prohibit anything like that, but being a former codes officer, he was looking at it very detailed and was just concerned. And
What would that do to your parking part of it,
well,
Steve?
he still has to meet all the requirements, and that is, you know, you can't block more than 25% of the parking. You have to have paid parking spaces for the visitors. Only thing we suggested adding is, this can be wordsmith, you know what the intent is, but I had, that the portable unit is towed to the site. So if you tow the smoker or the wood oven and detach it, it would still meet the intent of what this provision is. I suspect, or he said he'd be at the meeting tonight, and he might be able to express his concerns a little more succinctly.
What's his name, do you remember?
Ron Spiller.
My question, Steve showed it to me just briefly a minute ago, is that, what type of vehicle or trailer or whatever can be towed to the site? And I don't, you know, what does that open us up to anything? It may or may not, that's just a question I think it's good to ask on the front end. And should we maybe
Are you
get
talking
it
about,
approved?
Kay, a trailer that it pertains to the operation of the,
It'd have to do that. I would think that might be good. And then something, is it gonna be the same size as the food truck? Or is it gonna be an Airstream trailer? I don't know. People can, you hook anything to a food cart, food truck and tow it in.
I think it would have to pertain to the services they're providing or something. It couldn't be just an extra storage trailer or, you know.
For service, food service,
Yeah.
can that qualify it? Be used for the well, they do say that, it's used in the operation of a food service used for.
Alice Beach in Florida has a tremendous amount of Airstreams and all these trailers around this square that they deal in that. And y'all wanna send me down there for a week, I'll go check out, see what the hell
Well,
it's
you,
saying.
we'll sign that, right, if you won't come back.
These campaigns need you punched.
Well, you can wait till after all.
What about, Steve, just as a thought, what are we gonna do when a barbecue smoker sets up next to an ice cream truck? And the ice cream truck comes to you and says, we can't sell ice cream because of the smoke.
Just so you
Here
don't
we
run
go,
out of things to
breaking
worry
beans
about.
again.
I mean, I just.
Well, that's a good question.
All they gotta
I
do,
guess
Steve,
it's-
just put up a sign that says, we sell smoked ice cream.
Well,
Somebody think it's new.
Other than, say, find another location, and that's really between them and the property owners. It'd be downwind from them, I guess, upwind.
Okay, so they're not gonna be involved in a nuisance question,
I would-
like
I
a
would think that
resident
would be
would.
between, that'd be a civil issue, but I would defer
About
to
distance
our.
requirement, is that what you're asking?
I don't know how you would, whether,
Steve, the most, thing that bothers me most about these things, the reason I stay away from, is the sanitary part of it. But keeping things clean, you know, we've having a lot of problems now with salmonella and things like that. Of course, I guess that depends on the health department inspecting them, as to
Right.
how well that's done, I would think.
And that's one thing we're gonna require is, to make sure they have yearly inspections and yearly fire inspections. So that we can kind of keep a handle on, make sure that they are kept up.
and
It's
if
the
there is a
health
complaint,
department-
we can investigate.
And
Is the health department just required to do that once a year?
I believe they
On
would, yeah.
mobile?
Right, unless
Okay.
they receive a complaint.
They have refrigeration, do they have running water of any type, pressure containers? How do they do with washing the dishes and stuff
I'm
like
sure
that?
they have water tanks like any mobile home or any.
They do their own cleansing there with the water.
Steve, just for clarification, these red letter words you want added to what we're adopting tonight. For
Well,
voting on.
yeah, generally what's underlined is new and what is struck through is to be removed or struck.
And it just has to do with the hauling, the trailer,
Right.
whether it's attached.
Right.
Okay, so I guess what, I printed off what Debbie had sent out to us a day or two ago. Just add on the first one there, 9501, in between is and attached, towed to the site, and. Towed to the site and. Okay.
I guess if the codes inspector is going to inspect and it does, what has been towed to the site doesn't pertain to the operation, can be
Steve
dealt with
says
then.
codes is not inspecting though, it's just the
Well-
health department and fire.
Well, they'll
They can't.
periodically check, just to see, but they have their thing, but they're not inspecting the vehicle. They might just look
Okay.
in, it's gotta be visible.
And you had some questions on the other ordinance, the Airbnb.
Well, before we leave, and refresh my memory, Steve, we did say they had to post their rating from the health department on the
Yes.
vehicle, where it's
Yeah.
visible to the customers.
Right.
The other one, I read over what Steve did, and I think he's incorporated what we talked about. He was talking about that the property owner was ultimately responsible and that the codes would, be, evaluating what was going on. There was something else too.
There's that parking, wasn't it?
Parking, well, the parking was in there. And,
We talked about garbage pickup and that they were responsible for that. And also, if we're talking about short-term rentals,
yes,
also that the code enforcement officer would contact the operator of any violation, any complaints, versus the way it was originally, it was like on the third violation. They'll inform them of each and every violation.
and I think Dennis, you're the one that brought out that revoking it, that it may be revoked, as a result. You're not gonna wait a long time. That one didn't have as
I guess it
much.
was sort of like the three strikes. We talked about something, it was the third or something when
Right.
Stephen
They would be
original.
revoked, yeah.
On the third, 3 or more complaints within a calendar year. Revoked there. Well, then if, I guess everybody's eyes are open, or it's the property owner, if the trailer that's towed to the site doesn't pertain, if it's a a bouncy house or something like that?
Well, you know, I'll have to say, you know, when you write code, you can't always anticipate what the consequences are, but fortunately, they're not set in stone, so we can always revise it to correct whatever unintended consequences.
I like that,
I'm
Charlie.
glad Tommy brought that in, it's so nice.
Well, I mean, I would want to go up to an ice cream truck to get ice cream and all that smoke boiling over on me. And that's what the barbecue guy is selling.
That's right.
It's
Yeah.
smoke.
If you get him a little truck like that, and give away free ice cream, he gets the boast.
That is about how
You
much
just
we're
can't
trying to
park more
figure
than
out how to
15
do it.
minutes though, right, Steve?
Appreciate all the work you've done on this, Steve. I know you spent a lot of time on it. And you've done an excellent job.
Well, thank you.
Real quick, we would like to schedule some events, since we've got enough meetings, but we would like to consider a ribbon cutting dedication for the new road in ETPC, and the possible dates are,
Looking at the week of the 16th, or the 19th through 20th, toward the end of that week.
I've gone 20th, be here the 19th.
I'm gone both days.
You're gone.
I'm gone.
The 19th.
Grandchildren, 18, 19, 20.
The time,
Which badge you gonna be there, Tony? It says water line.
What is their completion date
it's a
on
Thursday.
that's the next one, if we can get this one, but
I was down there the other day, it's impressive.
it's getting,
That was a hard push laugh, wasn't it?
well,
What is this ribbon cutting for again?
This is on the Progress Parkway extension, ETPC. The contractor, Summers Toner, is running ahead of that schedule. Clearly, we'd like to get that open as soon as possible, open back up to, connect to Hardy Road and Howard Allen.
We do it the morning of the 17th. Everybody be in town for the council meeting that day. Can we do that? Is that better?
I was hoping to get a splash in the Sunday paper. I don't know if I'm gonna hold it that long, but like you said.
Get those grocery ads in on Wednesday. We can be on.
Well, they came out today because they're not printing stuff on March.
Just be sure and lock your truck up from what I've been reading in the paper. There's a lot of theft out there out of the.
Don't be talking about that, it's all good. Okay.
Last time I was out there to cut a ribbon off the road, I wound up buying a new tire.
Be careful, quick. All right,
Sounds like a business expense to me.
so we'll try and schedule something to confirm that one. The second one involves the fire station, and the possible dates for that are.
Looking at, again, by the time we take that over, somewhere the week of the 23rd, more toward the end of the week, around the 26th, 27th, Thursday, Friday-ish.
I'm gonna be
Friday's
out-
better for me.
I'm gonna be out of town from the 20th through the 26th.
So,
The 27th.
I can't count on them to knock on doors for me, can I?
How early, can we do it early on the 27th?
I think we're wide open, and that one's a little bit more up in the air, depending on final punch list
Well, it
and
looks
everything
good.
installed.
Looks good.
All right, so you wanna try and, we'll confirm those and send those out, but that's, I think it's worthwhile as we're getting things done to celebrate and get some recognition.
Can we, I mean, could we look at the morning on the 27th? if
Yes.
possible?
Yes.
What was what day of the week was the 27th?
27th is a Friday.
Okay.
So I'm hearing 17th, maybe ETPC, 27th, Station 4. Okay.
All right, we'll send out confirmations once we get it set, and we've actually have something to open.
Can I bring up something real quick? I've been approached by an attorney here in town. I think he's representing a Patel who purchased the liquor store on Cumberland out, y'all know which one I'm talking about. I can't remember that.
South Cumberland or not?
South Cumberland.
That liquor store. And he is wanting to move that. He's also purchased that Rite Aid building, and so he's looking, that's there on Cumberland, kind of across from the post office. He is looking, Mr. Patel is looking to move the liquor store to the Rite Aid building, but right now that Rite Aid building does not comply with our current ordinances in regards to liquor stores as far as distance requirements. So he's just kind of asked me to bring it up and then maybe see process-wise if he needs to contact Debbie or see about getting it put on the agenda. Basically, I think what they're ultimately asking us to do is to do away with the distance requirements in regards to the liquor
It's connected
stores.
to another building. The Rite Aid building is.
Yes.
The whole shopping center.
Yeah.
It's the whole road.
That's the old T drugstore, isn't it?
And I think there's a church maybe located within there, and then, you know, obviously the, post office box across the street. So that was just a request. He asked if I would.
But his existing location is a traffic problem up there.
But how
Well, I
could we,
can't see that Rite Aid building's gonna improve that.
They got that whole parking lot there, they
Well,
want to put it
no,
right in
they,
front of it.
the car lot, Kenny Limpa, former city employee, got that car lot, most of that lot is Kenny's, not the drugstores.
On the backside of it?
No, the side of it.
Wonder why he's wanting to move, because he owns the building, or?
I think he purchased that Rite Aid building, and he's just thinking it'd be a nicer, larger building, I guess,
They're
really.
closing that Rite Aid and
Oh, I know.
if we, you
Well, they
know,
moved it to.
Walgreens, bought.
Oh, did they?
we came up with a way to handle the Food City at, you know, Brookline area by saying a 4-lane highway separated it from a park.
We came up with a way.
Yes, we did. We came up with a way. I really don't see our coming up with a way to handle this one. You've got a church and the post office both. I mean, we're gonna just always be approached with, what can you do for me next?
And in regards to liquor stores, at least with the state law, I mean, there is, you know, as you all know, there's no distance requirements. Now, in regards to liquor stores, they leave that up to the individual cities to put in reasonable distance requirements as each individual city deems necessary. So that's where we've got to the point, I think, we're at the 300 feet, 350 feet.
I'm surprised he wants to move, because his revenue is twice more than any of the rest of them. Because of his location.
I'm trying to think of what churches they.
There's one of those, you know, like we've talked about before, when the Bureau ordinance came up about these churches in Christian centers, and that's the same thing.
It's not church, it's just they opened a religious operation inside a strip shopping
Well,
center.
they
There
think it's
used
a
to be
church.
there used to be a Hispanic church across the road there, in the
Yeah.
old George's Market building.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah,
I don't know where it's still there or not, but there
It's
used
still
to
there.
be, yeah. And then, of course, the post office on the other side.
So you're saying there are no distance requirements on the state level, but it's up to the city, so therefore, if we made that decision, it would fall back on us. Regardless.
And you remember with the liquor stores, you've got some pretty restrictive restrictions in terms of the number that can, the distance between them. They basically have to be in the 4 quadrants and one in the middle. So once you start tweaking that, there's gonna be other dominoes to fall.
That one, the one that's up there on West Morris Boulevard is the one that used to be, was it Red Fox that was there where,
It was Buster
Across the
Rippett's.
across the street from,
That's the one that just changed hands our last couple of meetings
The
or
one that Larry
something.
Bolton.
Yeah. This is the old specs out there.
When you're talking about out there at the Zoomer,
Zoomer.
is it close to the
Originally, there was 4 when the liquor deal was passed. You had the one on Buffalo Trail, you had the Specs, you had the Cork and Keg on the east, and you had way down.
Charlie Hodges' place.
Forgot about one, didn't you?
Well, originally the 4, and then they added that
Brian
5th one.
Bennett's mom and daddy had, it was called Red Fox, it sat right there on Cumberland, as you go back across from Dockery's funeral home.
That's what I'm talking
Yeah,
about.
right there in that corner. There's a
And when they did away
copier
with,
place there now or something, right there in that white store.
they didn't move, did they? They just did away, didn't they?
They just did away with
They
that.
did, but that's how Larry Bolton got his down there up on West Morris Boulevard. That was the franchise or license that he bought, I think.
They allowed 5 to start with?
Well, you had Speck, you had the Coopers, had the one on Buffalo Trail, you had the Helms, who had the one on the east end, and you had Buster Rippeto. No, you had,
Buster had the one in the central, there were 5. It was
Yeah.
4 quadrants and 1
Seems
center.
like they're all friends of Zeke, like.
How about that?
That was a connection.
I have one more, it's a parking question. The library has received the same message that we did from MUS, that they're not gonna be able to park at the bank across the street. And on certain, with certain events that they have as many as 100 people that attend. They have 12 employees, so they only contacted me today and asked if it would be possible to put parking on that grassy strip between the library and MUS. I don't know how much that is, if there's a defined property line, or even if that would, I told her I would see what the codes would allow, but that way they could do employee parking there. They're still gonna be down a certain number of slots, and so is that a possibility?
Do you know who owns the property?
I do not.
Let's do some research and see.
Yeah, I'll find out. We can sketch something up.
Okay. I can send you the thing
And
that
the
she
relation to
said.
that thing would be, could the library use the parking that MUS has once they leave that building?
That's the other question. I don't know what's gonna happen to that building. Does anybody know what's gonna happen to the
They're gonna
current?
keep it.
They're gonna keep it, so there could be possibly an agreement there as well. I'll send you the email. Shelley has a drawing of it, and I'll send it to you.
Yeah, please.
It seemed like the logical thing, because it looked like there's enough space in there to do some, diagonal parking.
Really?
That's one thing, they have kept in good shape.
Yes, it is.
Excellent
Good
shape.
shape. It is in good shape.
Ed Tucker.
Oh, you did?
Mr. Pritchard did a lot with that too, didn't he?
Yeah,
The property building.
he died pretty quick on that. Yeah, he did. He had a lot to do with that utility.
No, that building's in good shape. Right.
So we decided to keep it.
Yeah, Clark, last time we talked, he said they're gonna keep it.
Mike wants it.
Yeah, Mike wants it.
They did it with Mike.
I don't think Mike will get it though.
Mike's thinks to get screwed big time.
Well, I sent that thing to you. I sent
But he knows the way to beat him. He still has the key.
Yeah.
Seems like Eric got it.
The whole issue on this thing, on this financing,
The only
is I thought I
thing
was
about
what the MUS is
Mr.
doing.
Tells
Is adversely
Friday
affecting
building complex,
your
it's
ability.
innocuous. You remember there are 3 other quadrants that you've got some other kind of consequences, and some other ones, like relocating.
Yes, and once you do it,
You can't tell them no, and then if you say, well, you don't have to be that far from the church, and then all of a sudden, one relocates next to,
it is, it creates, as you're saying, a domino effect. This is another man grant that you. Okay, time for the funding. Hopefully, it's not too much fun.
You believe somebody coming in and trying to say something.
You know what you're listening to, you're right. So
That's right. I don't know what you're listening to. Explain
that's
like
the
that.
only main thing, so. Only thing. So never mind.
It sounds like